Wolfgang Puck was hiding something from his celebrity friends. By 55, the famous chef had a serious problem. His weight was out of control. He had access to the best surgeons in Beverly Hills. Every Hollywood star was getting work done. But Puck chose a different path. Something so simple, yet so powerful, that it changed his entire life. He lost over 20 pounds without a single procedure. His energy skyrocketed. His creativity exploded. Here's what really happened. Wolfgang Puck was born on July 8, 1949, in a small Austrian town called Sankt Veit an der Glan. His birth name was Wolfgang Johannes Topfschnig. His mother, Maria, worked as a pastry chef and played a big part in shaping his future. His biological father was a coal miner. After his parents separated, his mother remarried, and Wolfgang took the last name of his stepfather, Joseph Puck. But Joseph was not kind. He was violent, cruel, and constantly told Wolfgang he would never succeed. Their home didn't have running water or a proper bathroom. Winters were especially hard. Meals were often just potatoes, rice, or plain noodles. That struggle planted the thought in Wolfgang's mind that he needed to escape. He had to find a life beyond poverty and fear. As a child, Wolfgang lived under constant criticism. His stepfather called him lazy and useless almost every day. He shouted at him for hours and made him feel worthless. That kind of abuse wasn't just physical. It crushed Wolfgang's confidence. He grew up believing that failure was all he could expect. But somehow, deep down, he refused to let that become true. That same pain would later drive him to prove everyone wrong. Years later, he would speak about how close he came to breaking under the pressure. But instead, he used that pain as fuel. The one place where he felt safe was the kitchen. His mother let him help her bake cakes and prepare meals. It was the only room in the house where he felt protected. His stepfather had no interest in cooking, so Wolfgang could be himself in there. He picked vegetables from their garden and helped turn them into meals. The kitchen became a world of peace and purpose. By the time he was 14, cooking wasn't just something he liked. It was his way out. At 14, he left school and tried working in construction. It didn't last. His mother arranged for him to start an apprenticeship at a hotel kitchen in the town of Villach. But just 3 days into the job, the chef fired him and said he was useless. Those words echoed everything his stepfather ever said. That night, Wolfgang wandered alone to a nearby bridge. He looked down into the river and thought about ending his life. He believed no one would miss him. But somehow, he didn't jump. The next morning, instead of quitting, he went back to the hotel and begged for another chance. The staff were moved by how desperate he was. They hid him in the cellar and let him peel vegetables so the head chef wouldn't see him. For weeks, he worked silently in that dark basement just to avoid going home and proving his stepfather right. Eventually, the manager found out and sent him to train at a different hotel. That decision changed everything. Wolfgang finished his apprenticeship and started rising. What began as an act of survival turned into a career. But his early years were still harsh. He worked long hours for almost no money. He slept in cellars and lived in shadows just to avoid being sent home. For many weeks, he barely saw sunlight. The work was exhausting, and no one praised him. But he kept showing up. He couldn't bear the thought of returning to the life he came from. That fear kept him going. He said the kitchen saved his life, not because it was easy, but because it gave him a reason to fight. His journey didn't stop in Austria. He moved on to France, where he trained under legendary chefs. At L'Hosto de Beaumanière, a Michelin 3-star restaurant in Provence, he worked with Raymond Tuillier. Then came stints at Maxime's in Paris and the Hôtel de Paris in Monaco. These were some of the hardest, most demanding kitchens in the world. Mistakes were not tolerated. The shifts were long and punishing. But Wolfgang soaked it all in. He learned classic French cuisine inside and out. Every plate, every sauce, every detail had to be perfect. That pressure turned him into a world-class chef. By the time he moved to the United States at 24, he carried with him a rare set of skills and experience that very few chefs had. But even then, he was still afraid. Every time he opened a restaurant or tried something new, he worried. He feared failure in a way that never fully went away. Even after becoming successful, he would wonder if customers would show up, if critics would like the food, or if everything would fall apart. But instead of letting that fear stop him, he used it. It made him work harder, think deeper, and push further. In 1973, Wolfgang Puck arrived in Indianapolis at the age of 24. He didn't speak English, didn't understand American laws, and didn't know a single person. Every police siren made him panic. He worried he'd be deported at any moment. The winters felt brutal, and the food made him long for the flavors of home. He was scared, cold, and deeply homesick. But instead of giving up, he worked harder. He later said the fear pushed him to be twice as good in the kitchen. That fear was the first ingredient in what would become a legendary career. He spent 2 years at La Tour, the top restaurant in Indianapolis. Even there, he wasn't taken seriously at first. Some saw him as just another European cook. But he stayed late. He learned fast. And when he moved to Los Angeles in 1975, everything changed. He joined a small restaurant called Ma Maison. For 6 months, nobody paid him much attention. Then one night, a Hollywood producer sent back his dish. Puck decided to take a chance and made something new on the spot. The producer was amazed. Word spread. Suddenly, stars like Orson Welles and Joan Collins were calling for reservations. Within a year, Puck had gone from the kid from nowhere to the name everyone in Hollywood wanted to know. Even as he rose, the fear never fully left him. He had nightmares about being sent back to Austria. He'd dream of border agents at his door, of being forced onto a plane, of returning home as a failure. He would wake up sweating, heart pounding. But he turned that fear into fuel. He didn't just want to succeed, he had to. He worked more hours, took on more responsibility, and made sure no one could ever say he didn't belong. That pressure shaped him into someone who could stand out in any kitchen, even in the most competitive cities. Puck didn't just want to be a great chef. He wanted to change how people thought about food. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, American menus were full of heavy, old-fashioned dishes. Puck took the delicate techniques of French cooking and used fresh Californian ingredients. He made dishes no one had seen before, like smoked salmon pizza with crème fraîche and caviar. At first, people didn't know what to make of it. Mixing Italian, French, and Japanese elements in one menu was unheard of, but the flavors worked. And soon, he had started a national trend. When Spago opened in January 1982, it wasn't just another restaurant on the Sunset Strip. On opening night, there were 21 Rolls-Royces parked outside. That alone told you something big was happening. Inside, every one of the 40 tables was taken. Hollywood's elite filled the room, looking for something that didn't feel like the usual stiff, French-style fine dining. Wolfgang Puck was just 32, but he changed everything. He drew the menu by hand and focused on seasonal, local ingredients mixed with bold global ideas. Within the first month, Spago was turning a $20,000 profit. Every day, they had to turn down up to 300 reservations. It wasn't just about the food, it was about the energy, the freedom, the style. There was no closed kitchen, no snobby tone. prices were fair too. No pizza or pasta cost more than $10 back then, which would be about $28 now. Spago didn't follow trends. It made them. California cuisine became a real thing, and Spago was its heart. The menu was fearless, with things like raw tuna with avocado, smoked lamb pizza, and Chinese-style duck breast. It was like someone had opened a window and let fresh air into fine dining. One night, something unexpected happened. Joan Collins had ordered smoked salmon on brioche, but Spago had run out. Instead of sending out a boring apology, Puck made something up on the spot. He used pizza dough instead. The result? Smoked salmon pizza with dill creme fraiche, red onion, and caviar. It was different, shocking even, but people loved it. Suddenly, everyone wanted it. Even Paul Bocuse, the famous French chef, put a version of it on his menu. Restaurants in places like Manchester started calling it Spago Pizza. In Los Angeles, it became a favorite for stars like Michael Caine, Billy Wilder, and Barbra Streisand. Sometimes the kitchen sent it out for free to calm a table down during a long wait. That generosity made it even more loved. More than 40 years later, people still ask for it. It's not just a dish. It's a piece of food history. Another big change was the kitchen itself. Most fancy places back then kept their kitchens hidden. But Spago did the opposite. Barbara Lazaroff, Puck's partner and co-founder, convinced him to tear down a load-bearing wall. It was a huge risk, but they did it. Suddenly, the kitchen was right there in front of everyone. People could see their food being made. They could watch Puck and his team in action. It turned cooking into a show. Chefs had to stay sharp, clean, and calm. Guests could talk to them, watch them, and feel part of it all. This open kitchen wasn't just new. It was revolutionary. Soon, the idea spread. People started calling it a Spago kitchen, and it showed up in restaurants all over the world. The wall between chefs and diners was gone for good. Spago didn't stay the same forever. It couldn't. Things changed, and so did the crowd. In the 1990s, the original location on the Sunset Strip started to fade. Puck and Lazaroff didn't panic. They took another big leap. They moved Spago to Beverly Hills. It was risky. Some investors even sued them. The new location needed a complete redesign. At one point, renovating the old place would have cost up to $2 million. So they let it go and started fresh. The Beverly Hills version was sleek, modern, and even more ambitious. The menu changed. The style changed. But the heart stayed the same. Over the years, Spago survived cultural shifts, financial ups and downs, and changes in the Hollywood scene. But it kept going because its founders never played it safe. Wolfgang Puck's cookbook came out in 1981 and hit like a lightning bolt. Modern French cooking for the American kitchen was a real shift in how Americans thought about food. Most home cooks at the time were still using canned soups and powdered sauces. But Puck brought French technique into American kitchens in a way that felt exciting instead of intimidating. He simplified the ingredients, kept the heart of each dish intact, and pushed for what he called minimal excellence. It even had art by David Hockney and praise from Orson Welles. That book became a quiet revolution. By 1986, Puck was sitting in his Spago restaurant signing copies for fans, and that moment helped launch a whole new idea of what food could be in America. That same year, Puck started appearing on Good Morning America. His accent, his energy, and his knife skills had people glued to their screens in the middle of breakfast. No one had really seen a chef do that before. He wasn't just showing recipes, he was pulling people into the world of cooking with charm and joy. In 2000, The Food Network gave him his own show. Wolfgang Puck's cooking class ran for 5 seasons and won an Emmy. On that show, he told stories from his childhood in Austria, shared little kitchen tricks, and made food feel personal. Every time he showed up on TV, whether it was cooking for the Oscars or making jokes with late-night hosts, he wasn't just a chef anymore. He was becoming a name, a face, a brand. Before long, he was everywhere. Not just in kitchens, but in films like Showgirls and The Weatherman. He popped up in sitcoms like Frasier, stood next to Arnold Schwarzenegger in ads, and appeared on cooking competitions and talk shows alike. He made chefs look cool at a time when most people couldn't name one. He was the first to prove that a chef could also be a celebrity, and not just within food. He blurred the lines between entertainment and cuisine and gave others the path to follow. His story became something culinary students still study today. Behind all the fame, Puck was also building something much bigger. In Los Angeles and Las Vegas, Spago wasn't just a popular restaurant, it was pulling in over $12 million a year. Then came Wolfgang Puck cafes and express locations, built to reach even more people. He saw a trend when he realized celebrities were freezing his pizzas to enjoy them at home. So he started a frozen pizza line. It worked. By the late 1990s, his food company was selling $17 million a year and offering 43 different products. These weren't just frozen meals. They were elevated versions of his restaurant dishes, made for grocery stores. That move helped him land in homes across the country, making his name familiar in kitchens far beyond Hollywood. In 1998, Puck made another major move by launching Wolfgang Puck Catering. But even before the company's official launch, he was already feeding the stars. He first catered the Oscars Governor's Ball in 1995. That began a partnership that's lasted more than 30 years. Every year, over 1,500 of the most powerful people in Hollywood gather after the Oscars, and it's Puck's team serving them. His chicken pot pie became a signature. His truffle popcorn covered in edible gold became a talking point. The scale is massive: 600 staff, dozens of buffet stations, and more than 70 dishes designed for that one night. It's not just food, it's performance. And it made his catering brand the go-to choice for high-end events around the world. What started as one restaurant in 1982 grew into a worldwide empire. He now has over 100 restaurants across North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. He opened inside hotels like the Four Seasons and Marina Bay Sands. His Cut Steakhouse, which began in Los Angeles in 2006, quickly expanded to London, Singapore, and Doha. These restaurants adjust to local tastes and ingredients, but still carry his signature style. After the 2008 financial crisis, these international locations became even more important, helping his brand stay strong. With over 5,000 employees and almost $400 million in annual revenue, his reach is massive. And yet, each location still reflects the same balance of elegance and approachability that made Spago famous. Puck didn't just expand locations, he expanded ideas. He created Chinois on Main to blend Asian and French cuisine, long before fusion became a trend. Postrio brought casual California dishes to Napa Valley. Granita focused on seafood near the beach. Then there was Cut, which changed the way people thought about steakhouses. Instead of dark wood and heavy meals, Cut offered bright spaces and precise flavors. Some of these restaurants earned Michelin stars, including Spago and several Cut locations. What tied them all together was how they respected ingredients and focused on quality, while still inviting people in. He didn't just open restaurants, he created experiences. One of his boldest choices wasn't on the plate, it was in the walls. When Puck opened Spago, he he designed the kitchen to be open. People could see their meals being made. That wasn't normal in fine dining at the time. Most kitchens were hidden. But Puck believed that food was a performance. He wanted people to feel connected to the process. His then-wife, Barbara Lazaroff, a designer with a background in theater, helped make the space feel like a stage. It wasn't just about aesthetics. An open kitchen helped the staff work together, respond to feedback quickly, and feel more engaged. Diners loved it. The idea spread fast. Today, open kitchens are everywhere, and it started with Puck wanting people to feel part of the story. But Wolfgang Puck didn't build his empire without taking a few heavy blows. In the late 1980s, he launched the Eureka Brew Pub in Los Angeles. At the time, brew pubs weren't a thing in the US, and Puck wanted to be first. It opened with lots of attention, but it didn't last long. The brewery side flopped, and the place shut down around 1990. For someone known for success, this was a harsh reminder that even big names can fall short when trying something completely new. Another hit came with Granita, a Malibu restaurant he opened in 1991 with his wife, Barbara Lazaroff. The place looked like it belonged under the sea. Celebrities loved it, locals packed it, and for nearly 15 years, it felt like a permanent part of Malibu life. But in 2005, they decided not to renew the lease. It closed without warning. Rent had reached nearly $7 per square foot, with extra fees piled on. It didn't matter how beloved the restaurant was. The numbers didn't work. And just like that, another chapter ended. Behind all the glamour, Puck's world was also shaped by the ups and downs of his marriage to Lazaroff. They got married in 1983 and built the Puck brand together. While Puck cooked, Lazaroff designed, managed, and fixed the money issues. At one point, Puck was so broke he had to borrow gas money from waiters. She stepped in, organized everything, and helped him earn 4 times more. Together, they opened one hit restaurant after another. But their marriage didn't last. They divorced in 2003 after 20 years. Most couples go separate ways after that, but not them. They still owned restaurants together and worked side by side. It wasn't always smooth, but they kept it professional. Since then, Puck has been married 2 more times. Still, his bond with Lazaroff stands out, surviving love, business, and heartbreak without falling apart. Puck's first marriage was back in 1975. Her name was Marie-France Trouillot, and the marriage didn't last long. Fame pulled him in a different direction. In 1983, he married Lazaroff, and together they had 2 sons, Byron and Cameron. Their relationship may have ended, but they kept building together. Then, in 2007, he married Jalila Asefa, a fashion designer from Ethiopia. With her, he had 2 more sons, Alexander and Oliver. Puck once said his life felt improbable, but real. His story has always been about falling, rising, and finding something new again. His marriage to Galila began in an unexpected way. She had lost her fiancé in a car accident and was grieving deeply when she met Puck at Spago. She said he just kept showing up, with flowers, with kindness, with patience. Slowly, he helped her feel again. He encouraged her to return to her career, and she launched a handbag line that found real success. They married in 2007 at the Hotel Bel Air. The wedding was full of old Hollywood charm, with guests like Larry King and Sidney Poitier. Their love didn't just grow, it helped them rebuild their lives. For Puck, becoming an American was more than paperwork. Born in Austria in 1949, he moved to the US in 1973. He barely spoke English, but he came with big dreams. By 1999, after more than 2 decades of hard work, he stood at the Los Angeles Convention Center with over 6,000 other people. and became a U.S. citizen. He called it one of the proudest moments of his life. Los Angeles had become his home, his playground, and the base of his vision. He never forgot what it gave him. By 2023, Puck was running more than 20 restaurants. He was flying over 300,000 miles a year. He was consulting, cooking, appearing on TV. But at home, he was also a father to 4 sons, and now a grandfather. He said being a grandparent felt sweeter than any dessert he'd ever made. Spago has stayed at the top of American dining for over 20 years. Since 2004, it has been listed among the top 40 restaurants in the United States every single year. That kind of consistency is rare. After moving to Beverly Hills in 1997, Spago quickly became one of the most respected places to eat, not just in California, but in the world. In 2008 and 2009, it earned 2 Michelin stars. At the time, very few restaurants in Los Angeles had reached that level. Critics praised it for its fresh take on California cuisine, seasonal menus, and always-changing tasting experiences. In 2010, it was given the Wine Spectator Grand Award, which it still holds. Then in 2013, Zagat named it the most iconic restaurant in Los Angeles. Spago's mix of high-end food, famous guests, and warm service made it a model for restaurants everywhere. It's not just a place to eat, it's a standard that many chefs around the world try to reach. Wolfgang Puck's career is just as impressive. He is the only chef to win the James Beard Foundation's Outstanding Chef of the Year award 2 times. He first won in 1991 and then again in 1998. That alone put him in a league of his own. In 1994, Spago won the James Beard Restaurant of the Year award. That wasn't just a win for the restaurant, it was a clear sign of Puck's vision and leadership. These awards aren't just for show. They reflect how deeply Puck has shaped food in America over the last 40 years. In 2012, he received the James Beard Lifetime Achievement Award. That honor is given only to people who have changed how the world sees and enjoys food. Puck's influence goes far beyond any single dish or restaurant. What makes his record even more unique is that no other chef has managed to win the same set of awards more than once. What many people don't know is that Puck also went through a big health change later in life. By the time he was 55, his weight had gone up by more than 20 pounds. Instead of taking shortcuts like surgery, he chose a different path. He focused on changing his lifestyle, step by step. He began to watch what he ate, even though he had access to the best ingredients in the world. He also made exercise a regular part of his life. Puck says that keeping things simple and using fresh ingredients helped him stay on track. He didn't give up flavor, he just found better ways to enjoy it. By 2014, he had lost over 20 pounds and said he felt more energetic and creative than ever. For someone in the demanding restaurant world, that kind of health turnaround showed it's never too late to change. That same year, Puck shared his journey with the public. He released a book called Wolfgang Puck Makes It Healthy. It wasn't just a cookbook. It was a guide to living better. The book includes light versions of his signature recipes and simple tips for better health. He opened up about how hard it can be to eat well, while always traveling and working long hours. He also talked about habits that helped him, like taking daily walks and drinking more water. The book made a big impact. People appreciated how honest he was about the ups and downs of making real changes. Many readers said it helped them see that healthy choices were possible, even later in life, and even for people who love food. Outside of kitchens and books, Puck is also known for giving back. In 1982, he and Barbara Lazaroff started the Puck-Lazaroff Charitable Foundation. One of their biggest efforts is the Power Lunch for Meals on Wheels, which raises money to feed homebound seniors. Over the years, this event has brought in more than $15 million. It's not just a fundraiser, it's a major event in Los Angeles that brings together celebrities, business leaders, and others who care about helping the community. But the foundation's work doesn't stop there. It also supports education and arts programs across the city. Puck is very involved. He doesn't just show up, he helps cook and plan the events. He often says that food is a way to show love and care. That belief shows in everything the foundation does. The impact has been real, and the numbers prove it. Puck has used his fame to make a difference far beyond the kitchen.